2024 was full of some awesome albums and films. And we have a little list for you. We're going to share a few of our top favorites. Let's get into it. What's happening, everybody? This is V3Cast, episode 40. And it's the first episode of 2025. We're going to look back on a few of our favorite albums and films from last year and talk about them, give you some of our opinions, and hopefully you guys can leave some comments on what some of your favorite films and albums were from 2024.
We decided not to be so cutthroat this year. We're not just going to do like favorite movie, favorite album, because that's really hard to do. We've done that before, but I think the last 2 years we've just buttered it up with top three, you know, so.
That's right.
And some of us
stress-inducing.
Some of us choose even more than that. They can't stick to the rules.
Right.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Not tonight. Not tonight. Tonight we're going to be disciplined.
Well, I do have some on deck honorable mentions if I need to use them. But I won't use them unless I need to use them. But I don't want to be unprepared.
Right.
No, life can throw different things at you. I want to be surprised. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. Understandable.
Just in case.
Yeah, you're already throwing it out there that you're not going to follow the rules.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Fair warning, I may not follow the rules. All right, well, let's get into it.
Let's go in reverse alphabetical order. That's Steve.
Oh, I guess that would be me. Okay, 3 of my favorite albums from 2024. And I do have to confess, I did have to dig kind of deep because as has been discussed before, I like the older stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't venture into newer stuff as much as I should. But I found 3. I found 3 bangers, if you will.
If any of these are like fucking reissues or something from 1992, I'm coming over there and whipping your ass.
No reissues. No reissues. Everything is a release for the first time.
Okay.
Here. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
First one is the final Shellac album, To All Trains. I've always been a Shellac fan. I think my favorite record from them is At Action Park. I just love the attitude. Steve Albini is the true definition of punk rock and one hell of a recording engineer too. It was released on May 17th of 2024. And unfortunately, Steve Albini passed away about 10 days before it was released. To me, the standout tracks is the opening track, WSOD. It's quintessential shellac, the guitar riff that starts the song off, and the production is exactly what you would expect. The nice roomy drums, clangy bass. I love it. And then another cool track is Tattoos. It's got really kind of smart ass lyrics, which I love. And then another cool one is Wednesday, and it has these creepy, dark, like storytelling lyrics where it's less singing on that song and more just he's like reading you dark poems or something like that. It's very cool, but the album is really great. I recommend spinning it or picking it up on your favorite media that you collect. The second one is the soundtrack to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, before everybody throws a tizzy, that album was never released. Never.
Look at Aaron. I can sense his discontent.
So Waxwork put it out on December 11th, 2024. And man, it is so good. I'm gonna tell you what. Now, for those who may not know,
I'm coming over to your house.
Those who may not know, there's not a lot of music in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm coming over. I'm picking up a pizza.
Oh,
we're gonna eat the pizza, and then I'm gonna kick your ass.
Okay. Can you substitute the normal pepperoni for bold pepperoni? That's
for sure.
That's easily a pro move.
Yeah, definitely. But you're gonna get your ass beat with a full stomach.
Well, hey, if we're gonna do that, we might as well spin Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, and let's make it proper. But no, in all seriousness, the album is full of just immeasurably creepy sound design and vibes and just kind of sound effects. There's not really too much music really at all, honestly. And it's wonderful. I probably have listened to it since December at least 10 times or more. I can't even recommend a standout track. They're all great. It all just keeps going with that same mojo that you're familiar with if you've seen the film. Third pick. This one came out a little earlier in 2024, March 22nd to be exact, on Relapse Records, and that is the band Zombie, their album Direct Inject. And it is a true quintessential version of Zombie. It brings everything that you want. Post-apocalyptic, or the post-apocalyptic horror is a fantastic track. That's the one that starts with the bass. Great track. And probably one of my top favorite Zombie songs on any record is Sasuali 2. It's like the smooth sax that Steve Moore plays along with all the keys and Tony on the drums, of course. It's a fantastic record. And I will mention, we had the distinct privilege of opening for Zombie on their Detroit stop on the Direct Inject tour at the Sanctuary back in April. And it was a absolutely awesome night. We had a great time. We had a good show. Zombie sounded amazing. So I definitely recommend Zombie's new record.
Absolutely.
I bought my copy that night, Steve. Got them both to sign it.
Yes, you did.
Like the true fanboy I am.
Right.
That's right.
And we got to see them play the Sasuali song with the saxophone, and we were all just like, oh yeah.
It's so smooth, man. Oh,
So
everything
good.
about it. It's
Remember that, Greg? We were like,
crafted.
oh yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
All three of us?
Not at all. I don't remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was swinging my shirt above my head. I was into it, man.
Yeah, Steve was
great.
on top of the crowd. He was like crowd surfing.
Right. To a saxophone song.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Steve, since it's your pick and your moment, what are you drinking?
Man, a good one. A spicy one. Are you ready?
Yes.
I've been digging into these Q ginger beers. This one is tropical ginger beer. So it's sweet and it's hot. Totally
Nice.
recommend. Totally recommend. Let's see if I can get a good crack on this. You know how we do.
Right. There you go.
How was that?
That was awesome.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's got a
Careful, Steve.
good taste.
Got a good taste.
Okay, Greg is next, according to Aaron.
Oh, you're sticking to reverse alphabetical order. No explanation. We don't know if it's
Aaron
first name
follows
or
the
last name or middle name. Just throwing it out there, making it up as he goes.
Absolutely.
Don't forget, Aaron does follow the rules.
Yes. Every time.
I am pretty proud of Steve for only mentioning 3, even if one of them really shouldn't count.
It's from 1974, right? But that's all right. We know Steve, so we're going to let him get away with it.
He's getting a pizza out of it and an ass whooping.
Right, that's true. I love it.
And I'm not sure he's opposed to either.
Well, if you want, I can give you my honorable mention.
Steve.
No. No.
Grinding at you so much, and you gotta have another one. I can give
you actually did it right, and I was just trying to positively reinforce the good behavior.
Thank you.
Not encourage you to say what your honorable mention was. Just keep that to yourself.
Okay.
Take it to bed with you.
All right, Greg, you're up.
I'm glad I'm going next because I have a feeling this is on your list too, and I'm going to start off with the one that I think is probably the most interesting of my 3 picks. Blood Incantation Absolute Elsewhere, and I think most people knew I was going to pick it because they collaborated with Tangerine Dream.
Right.
I mean, they stole my thunder. I've been trying to get us to collaborate with them, but it's a really good record. I actually like their previous record too, the ambient one, Time Wave Zero. I just think that band knows no boundaries, and I sort of enjoy that. And it has a little bit of everything for everybody. I mean, if you get bored listening to that record, I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Every
Right.
track is like somewhat different and interesting to me. So that's my number one.
One of my favorite lines to say is if you get bored with that record, that's on you.
Right.
Right. Exactly. So was that on your list, Aaron?
It's not my turn yet.
Greg wants he wants to get a preview.
All right.
He wants to get
no spoilers,
a little peep.
No spoilers, I guess. All right. My second one is going to. So I had a couple that Aaron would have been mad about. So I'm cutting them. They've been cut. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Sounds like
so
almost breaking the rules. Doesn't it sound like that? He's almost breaking.
No, I was prepared.
He's flirting with it.
He's getting close.
I don't want an Aaron ass whooping.
Right.
So I wasn't sure what the rules were going to be and how strict he was going to be. So now that I know, and my second one is Ishan.
Nice.
Self-titled. Anybody that knows me knows that I think Emperor is the best black metal band. Anthems to the Welcome at Dusk is like one of my all-time favorite like metal records, period. And he is sort of the brains behind that whole operation, in my opinion. And it's weird because this is like almost two prog metal records for me. But I suppose, with Aaron's strict rules of not going, backwards in time the way Steve and I like to, it gets a little, I guess that's going to be my wheelhouse, metal and more metal. So I know Ishan has like collaborated with Leprous and a bunch of other people, and I'm sure he has a bunch of those people on this record. But it's really good, and I think he even put out an entirely instrumental version of it that's literally just the orchestration, I believe.
Nice.
So he's a true artist, man. That guy's the real deal. So that's my number two. Nice. And then my number three is going to be another metal record. And this one kind of caught me off guard. You know who sent this to me was Costa.
Mm-hmm.
So Costa sent me a text one day, and he's like, "Have you heard the new Nails record?" And I was like, "I've heard like some of their older stuff, but no, I wouldn't say that I've heard the new one." He's like, "Do me a favor." He goes, "It's only like 28 minutes long." He goes, "Go listen to it." So it's called Every Bridge Burning. And I'll tell you what, man, if you need a jolt of caffeine, you guys probably will hate it because
no, I liked it. I like it.
Oh, you did like it. Yeah. Okay. Because to me, it's in that terrorizer. It's in the terrorizer domain. It's just fast and mean and over before it begins, sort of. So
I'll check it out.
But man, it's like a riff fest.
Yeah, you told me about the Nails record a few months ago, and I immediately listened to that, and that was awesome. It's just full of riffs, and where
bullshit
I think
is what I call that.
Terrorizer doesn't have what I would call memorable riffs. Nails does.
Here we
Nails
go.
does. I agree with you on. Well, you know what? You mentioned the Ishan. How do you pronounce his name?
Ishan.
Yeah, I checked that out the other day when you recommend. I'm always checking out your shit, Greg.
I know.
Whenever you mention it, and
especially Terrorizer. I love that one.
And that was cool too. It's like it wasn't what I expected because it's like kind of almost a happy sound. Some of that Ishan.
Yeah, he's not afraid to take chances. And he was doing towards the tail end of Emperor. He was really, he wasn't playing by any rules. You know what I mean? Like they were very open to different things that would be typical in metal. You know, so that's what I always liked about Emperor. Because there are black metal purists where it's got to be a blast beat for the entirety of the song, and it has to be the worst recording you've ever heard. So black, it just depends on which type of black metal fan you are. But I always leaned in the Emperor direction, which is, I would guess, I would call it the more progressive side of it.
Yeah. Nice. And what are you drinking, Greg?
Oh, I'm going non-alcoholic tonight, guys. I'm Liquid Death.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is this? Severed lime?
Those
I
are
don't know
good,
what they
man.
call it.
I like those.
Yeah, not too sweet.
All right, Aaron.
This
There's
better be good. And I'm going to be looking up all the dates that these albums came out on
Yeah.
too, by the way.
there's a lot of good stuff that came out this year, and I had to narrow it down though and go with some really strong picks. My number one album of the year, I think, is got to be Blood Incantation. That's a band that I believe you introduced me to like 5 years ago or something, and so we followed their progression of like, sort of progressive metal, and then adding in more synths and ambient, and then the third album is just a dreamscape, and then this album is just like the best of all of their approaches. And when I first put it on during the first song, which is about 8 minutes or something, I was like, there were so many twists and turns in the first song alone. I was like, how can this album be this good if the first song is just punching me out and doing things I've never heard? It blew me away, and I was like, I mean, where are they going to go from here? The whole album I just think it's pretty much a masterpiece. Some of that could be hyperbole. Like maybe in 10 years I go, yeah, it's a great album, but maybe in 10 years I do, maybe I really am convinced that it is a masterpiece. Who knows? Time will tell all that, right? But I was very happy to be able to see them at the Magic Stick just a couple months ago, and that was an experience. I mean, people in there were just kind of tripping out on them, just kind of spacing out. Well, I watched a lot of the show with my eyes closed because the music makes you want to just close your eyes. And luckily, I didn't get pummeled by anybody. I was like far away from the pit. And I had a Wookiee standing in front of me. This guy must have been 6'8". And so I couldn't see the stage all that great anyway. So I was like, I'm just going to go into another zone and just let this music take me. And it was amazing. Hopefully next time I'll be able to get a better vantage point and see them a little better. But that was great to see them live.
Maybe you go on the Wookiee's shoulders.
I thought about it.
If you ask nicely.
Yeah, I should have. Absolute Elsewhere is just phenomenal. High on Fire is Cometh the Storm, came out earlier this year, back in March or something, April. The riffs on there are just fat and beefy, like you'd expect from High on Fire. There's some cool songs that sound like they would come straight out of a Conan movie, without any distortion, just like with old kind of ancient sounding instruments and stuff. And I got to see them at the Magic Stick too, and that was great. So the Cometh the Storm is also one of my picks. And then I think the biggest surprise and also a great album is Opeth, The Last Will and Testament. It sounds maybe silly for people who don't know, but it was a huge big deal for metal fans and for Opeth fans that Michael Ackerfeld brought back his growling on this album. He hasn't done that since like 2008, 2007 with Watershed. And a lot of people, including me, were like really bummed when they changed their whole direction and stopped being heavy and just became progressive after that album when they did a Heritage album. Since Heritage, they've worked in a little more edge as they've gone, and I think they went back to being awesome. But this album, he brought back the growling, which was really cool. And I didn't even know he was going to do it. I hadn't seen any interviews or anything like that. And they released their first song back in late summer or something. And he growls in like the first verse, and my jaw dropped to the floor. So that's not the only reason it's a good album. Most Opeth stuff is great. Everything except Heritage. And
how about that opening track? That's how you start a record out.
Absolutely. So that was a really cool surprise and just shot it right up to my top three with no hesitation. So yeah, those are Those are my top 3 albums of the year.
That's some solid picks, man. Hey, what are you washing all that down with?
Well, I've noticed it took me a minute to pick up on it, but Greg's been making fun of me a little bit the last few episodes because I always use the same glasses, which is like my beat up Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman glasses that are all faded. So I got new glasses. I got myself some Marvel characters. I got Captain America here, and I'll be rolling the other ones in as we go. This is a classic look of Captain America there, and I got a Margarita here. So there we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Aaron, you started this beef.
Mm-hmm. And I regret it.
You started it.
I started it because I made fun of you using the Beatles glasses.
And he is so sorry for that.
In hindsight, that was a low blow, and I know I hurt you. And I hope that you can forgive me.
Oh, I can tell you this: I'm not buying new glasses.
No,
I'm gonna just keep using them.
He's gonna turn the knife while it's in. Is what he's trying to say.
You won't bully me into buying new glassware, Aaron.
All right, we're gonna shift gears here to film. Top 3 films of 2024. There's a lot of good films.
Yeah.
I was looking through the list and I'm like, oh, geez. Now I have seen a lot of these ones.
Right.
I had to narrow it down, man. It was tricky. So you want to go now normal order, alphabetical? So that'll put Aaron first. You want to do that? So we go in and we bounce out in reverse.
Okay. All right. Sure.
This podcast likes to exercise the boomerang effect, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. We like to keep ourselves on our toes. Okay, so my top movie of the year, for me, there's really no competition. It's pretty predictable from me, but Deadpool and Wolverine was, that just nothing can compete with that. I love Wolverine.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's obvious. I mean, I love Wolverine since I was a kid. I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I thought he was done with the role, and I was so happy with the way Logan, the way he went out with Logan. But I always knew that there was some possibility of him getting involved with the MCU, but I didn't have any hopes for it. I just knew that, there's money. If there's money involved and there's legacy and all that stuff, who knows what would happen. So when I saw the little announcement that Ryan Reynolds put out, a couple of years ago, I literally screamed like an old lady in my kitchen. And so the movie...
Can we get a visual?
I was looking at my phone and I'm like, the movie more than lived up to it. And I was so glad that I didn't know anything of the sort of treats they had in store. I saw it opening weekend. And I'm not even going to say, because it is still a sort of recent movie, so I'm not going to give a bunch of stuff away. But there's so many surprises, so many cameos, not just cameos, but actual, parts, like sort of significant parts in the movie with great characters that are beloved. And some of those things made me scream in the theater, along with everybody else cheering and clapping. I screamed like an old lady at a certain point in that movie. When a character came out. So, but the movie, if it was just dependent on people showing up and funny tricks, that wouldn't really sustain it. And I think it had a good story about the sort of the idea of what is considered canon and not, and who decides, just because the MCU has gone to these great lengths to consolidate all these characters and be able to put them all in each other's movies and stuff. Does that mean we throw away all these old stories that are from, the late 90s or into the 2000s? With some of these movies were great. They weren't MCU, but the MCU doesn't dictate what is good or not, But I think that's kind of a philosophy that's come up over the last few years. Is like, people saying, I can't wait to see the X-Men done right. I can't wait to see the X-Men in the MCU. Well, there are some awesome X-Men movies, you know, in that run. They did, I don't know, 9 movies or something. They're not all great, but some of them are really, really cool. So I think that this Deadpool and Wolverine was like a sort of a statement on that stuff. Anyway, that was my top. Then there's Longlegs, which was I didn't see in the theater, unfortunately, but I did. You know, it's a 24 movie, and I saw it during the year. I wish I'd seen it in the theater. It's one of the creepiest movies, you know, I've seen in a while.
I didn't see that one, but I remember seeing all the posters and art on social media for it, and it seems like it's a high caliber one, but I have yet to see it.
Yeah, you have to. You really have to. And if hopefully you don't know much or anything about it. I knew a couple of images from the movie, and I kind of wish I didn't even know that, but it didn't hurt it. But yeah, it's very, very creepy, very unsettling. It's my favorite kind of horror. We've talked about this before, but my favorite kind of horror is the kind that makes you uncomfortable no matter what's going on. Even if it's not a scary part, you just don't feel right watching it the whole time. It never lets you off the hook. And that's definitely one of those movies where you're just uncomfortable from the opening shot to the closing shot. Even when she's just sitting there talking on the phone with her mom, and her mom's kind of stressing her, the main character's mom's stressing her out, you know, and she's an FBI agent, and she's trying to explain to her mom that she has a tough job, and it just everything about it, because we've all had these conversations with our moms before where they can kind of get under our skin, I think, or with our parents. Anyway, that's a great movie. Really creepy. And the less said about it, the better. Hopefully people have seen it, and hopefully other people will see it.
I convinced Ange to go see that in the theater. So I actually saw Longlegs in the theater, but I have a bad track record.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the other one on your anniversary?
It was on our anniversary, and I took her to Evil Dead Rise. And
Yes.
it was just, you know, the end of that is just a bloodbath.
Yep.
You know, and she's just like, this is a lot.
What did she think of Longlegs? Could she handle it?
She actually, so surprisingly enough, one of her favorite movies is Silence of the Lambs. So this, you can definitely draw some similarities between the two.
Yeah.
So she actually really liked Longlegs. So that's my aside on Longlegs.
Nice. And the third one, you know, I never break the rules. Everybody knows that, but I did go back and forth. Really had a hard time between.
You better not mention the other one.
It's gonna be pizza time.
I'm not going to mention the other one. I'm just going to say, I was so close to picking Furiosa, and then I picked Dune Part 2. But I'm not mentioning it. So you said it
anyways.
No, I'm not mentioning it.
You know, I thought that Dune would be on your list because in about 2 or 3 previous episodes, you talked about Dune Part 2 in particular. So
yeah,
so good. Everything is right with the universe. Cool.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's why that's my pick, and not anything else.
I haven't seen either of those.
Well, they're great. You should watch them. You should take a weekend when you have nothing to do, which will never happen, and watch, you know, Dune 1 on Saturday and Dune 2 on Sunday, because it would be about 7 hours for you there.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Something like that. They're both
I gotta
long.
order extra pizza for that.
Yeah. But they're great. They're as companion pieces. It's a great big story, and I hope it wins some Oscars, or at least is nominated for some Oscars, because obviously the cinematography and the sets and all that stuff were beautiful. It's so artfully shot, and also Furiosa is great. Okay, Greg.
It is Greg's turn now.
Yeah, it's Greg's turn.
I don't know what just happened, but I think it's Greg's turn now.
He really squeaked it in there at the end.
I heard the squeak.
Of all the people that I didn't think would break the rules,
well, but
I have to say I'm a little disappointed.
No, you're going to forget that I did that, and then when I do it again a couple months from now, you'll forget that I did it now.
Hey, I didn't do 4 films.
Exactly.
I think I'm going all in on horror for 2024.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kick it off with my favorite horror movie from 2024, and that's In a Violent Nature.
Mm.
People are pretty divided on this, but I have a soft spot for slasher films. So
It was good.
as soon as I heard,
Definitely
yeah, I mean it's definitely a different kind of slasher film. But it does have one of the most creative kills I've ever seen.
good.
I think
It does.
I think the kill is up there with what people would talk about in the original Terrifier. So, but it just had a real different pace to it to me, and I don't need much. You know what I mean? Like as soon as they said there's like a masked, guy in the woods, that's the other element. Is it's got to be in the woods.
Yeah.
If it's in the woods, that's my favorite kind of slasher.
Yeah.
Period.
Very good recipe.
Yeah, you got a masked guy in the woods, creatively killing unsuspecting people. That's going to be number one for me every time. So I really enjoyed it. I know people were divided on it. So yeah, keep it to yourself. It was fine. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. I need to see it.
Oh, you should watch it. It's easy to get through.
And you won't need as much time as Dune.
Right.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
I would say too that I've seen a lot of horror movies over the years, right? And I would say that this one is bordering on experimental, I would say, because of the way it chooses to present itself, basically.
It's definitely different.
Sweet.
All right, so I'm gonna go with an underdog for my second pick. Something that maybe didn't get a lot of people talking about it necessarily, but it involves one of my biggest fears. So did you hear of the movie called Infested?
No.
Now you might only know it if you have Shudder. So I have a Shudder subscription, so a lot of times I'm just like clicking around on there and I'm like, okay, so it's a spider movie. So the premise of the movie is this guy brings home a rare species. He collects, arachnids. So he's got a bunch of tanks set up in his apartment building. And what he doesn't realize is that this particular spider, can reproduce very quickly and is very deadly. So pretty soon the entire apartment building is overrun with these spiders, and they're making nests. Like the hallway becomes a giant spider nest.
Mm-hmm.
You say that premise, I'm good. I'll check it out. That setup is good for me.
Yeah, it's really well done. I can't remember. I think it's French maybe, but that was kind of like a sleeper hit for me. Because I don't like spiders. I'll be quite honest. I don't like the idea of them being on me, period.
Right.
So there's just something about the way they look. It's not their fault. I'm not actively crushing them or anything. I'll help them get outside if I can.
Yeah.
But man, this movie, it's exactly what you'd want it to be. Because my biggest complaint about arachnophobia, because I was really hopeful that one would be scary. But it was more like on the goofy side.
Yeah.
They were playing the humor element, especially John Goodman, who played the exterminator, was just like a caricature. You know what I mean? Like, so they're kind of like goofing on it the whole time. And I guess there was some scary imagery maybe in arachnophobia, but Infested goes all in. Like it's meant to be horror, and it's pretty unrelenting. So if you don't like spiders, you're gonna hate this movie.
Or you should see it because you should be scared. I always love it when I'll tell somebody about a horror movie and they're like, oh my God, I can't watch that. I'm too scared. I go, that's why you should watch it.
Right.
They made it for you, Right. Like the people who've seen a million horror movies might be a little jaded and might not be affected, but the people who are actually scared are the ones who should watch it. But it's hard to convince them of that.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so I would say overall, to me, it sort of feels like a zombie movie, except the zombies are spiders.
Nice.
Cool, yeah.
So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with that.
Checking it out. I'm definitely going to watch that. I'm intrigued.
Hey, Steve. Yeah. There is no checking it out.
That's true. That's true.
You got to commit.
That's right.
All right. So my third one, and I love the fact that this happened this year because this sort of goes in the face of Aaron's rules. But they put out a new Alien movie, and I'm a sucker for Alien movies. So Alien Romulus, I'm going with for number three. I watched it. I didn't get to see it in the theater. I was trying to with every part of my being to get to see it in the theater, but schedules did not permit. So I did finally get to watch it because I think they finally put it on Hulu now, or it's on Disney Plus, maybe one of those. And I finally got to watch it. And man, like I know people are going to say, oh, it's the same shit, you know, it's, and it is. And I don't care.
Yeah.
Good. It was really well done. It seemed pretty gritty, and you know, I sort of like the setup, and I like the final girl, if you want to call her that. But you know, and then the ending was really surprising. You know, so yeah, I mean, if you like the Alien universe, you will like this movie. There's no reason not to like it. It's another story in the Alien universe. Why not like it?
Yeah,
well, that's cool. I got to see it because I didn't know if I should be interested in it. I wasn't sure. It didn't grab me, and then I heard bad stuff about it, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll let it slip by. But you're the first person I've heard like say good stuff about it, and I trust you, so I'll check it out.
It's like we talk about this all the time. It's like a warm blanket. You know what I mean? Like it's all the same. Like ships look the same. Everything looks the same. It's like revisiting your childhood. You know, like, and it's a different story. So to me, that's enough. That's enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need Macbeth, Aaron. I don't need it.
Right. A lot of people think that everything should be that.
I know. Hey, man, I'm just out there trying to have a good time. So, you know,
just a simple
trying to
man.
live my life and taking a little cinema.
Trying to have a good time out here in these streets.
Right.
All right. Well,
all right, Steve, lay it on us.
Comes to me now. Deadpool and Wolverine. And Aaron is right. That movie was great, action-packed, hilarious, and yes, all kinds of, what would you call that? Not fan service, because that sounds disrespectful, but like if you're a fan of that stuff, they gave you, I guess it is fan service. I don't know, but
there's nothing wrong with fan service.
Not in a negative way though. But yeah, it was wonderful, man. I mean, I loved every joke, and yeah, absolutely fantastic. Music was cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. I saw it on streaming. I didn't see any of these in the theater, unfortunately, but that's all right. Second pick, hitting on the horror bubble, is The Substance. Really,
I haven't seen that one yet.
Really enjoyed it. I mean, you've probably heard, people saying Demi Moore acted her ass off, and she deserves, that's a big kind of buzz right now. Well, it's right. Yeah. It's totally true.
She got a Golden Globe, I think.
That's true. Yeah, she just won that. So well deserved. Everything about that film is cool, pretty damn innovative, pretty damn creepy. There's definitely stuff you haven't seen before. I totally recommend it. Absolutely.
Awesome. I've been meaning to see that. There's so many movies that you see, and then so many that slip by, at least temporarily. So I've been meaning to see that one. I'm going to get on that too.
Yeah. It's on I think it's on one of the streaming ones.
Netflix, I believe.
Okay. Yep. Groovy, man. Yeah. So then my third pick, believe it or not, it might be out of character, but I don't care. I'm a punk rocker at heart. But Wicked was absolutely fantastic. Every level of it, from the music, the set design, the acting, the two stars, Cynthia Erivo, I think you pronounce her name, and Ariana Grande, killed it. I mean, it was great. Such great vocals. The songs, great. Acting, Jeff Goldblum. Come on. It was fantastic.
Sweet.
I do like me some Jeff Goldblum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this was a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. So that kind of sets you up for, what's going on, basically.
My kids are always like wanting to watch something. And I feel like I think that's one of the only movies we didn't go see. Like anything else animated, I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah.
Like every other. So I don't know why we didn't see that one. Maybe my daughter saw it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to next movie night. I'll suggest it
There you go, man. Yeah, I mean,
so
just
I don't have to watch another animated movie.
top level performances. Seriously, I mean,
Sweet.
it was basically like the quality of like the best stage play you've ever seen, but done in cinematic style. I guess that's a great way to describe it because it is a musical.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know, I mean, musical. I might not see a ton of musicals every year, but this one was fantastic. So, there's my three.
Nice.
They're all out there streaming, so go watch them.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Those are good picks, man. Those are good picks, and some of them we've seen, some of them we still have to get to. So we have some homework to do.
That's
now
right.
we want to know what you guys think, but you can't. One of the things our buddies do in out online is they'll list like 15 movies. Don't do it.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined like us, man.
gotta
We
be
know there's
disciplined.
more movies. I could have listed a whole bunch more. We
Yeah.
know there's more.
We
But
know
you got
there
to
was-
choose your three and be strict.
We know there was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. You know how hard it was for me not to pick that and not to mention it right now? You know, but
this is-
you guys will just spout off like 10 movies. I'm challenging you not to do it. You can do it if you want, of course. Do what you want to do. Let us know what you guys think of your movies and albums of the year.
right.
And yeah, we want to hear it. Collecting cool stuff. This is I get a lot of statues. I don't know if you guys have noticed any of those.
No.
Um,
Had
this
noticed.
this one is it's got real sentimental special value because of our old band. We had an old band, right? And we named it after this guy, Forge, from the X-Men. He's a really cool character, an inventor. He's a mutant, and he's a shaman too. Like they kind of piled a bunch of stuff on him to make him really cool. He's got a cybernetic leg, you can see. But Forge is a cool guy, and I remember back in 1992 when Steve and I were changing the name of the band from Vegetarian Cannibals. We chose Forge, and that was based on him. I wouldn't try to pretend it wasn't. So he's very angry in this sculpt.
The detail on that is off the chart, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire in this weapon, this gun that he created. This gun might be the kind of gun that could take away a mutant's powers, or it might just blast you really bad. But there he is. There's Forge. That's a cool sculpture, and like you can take off his rifle here.
Nice.
Just don't lose it, and put it right back on there. So
Now, is that a certain artist or a certain company or a certain line of anything in particular like that, or what?
this was no, not an artist that I know of, but this is from Iron Studios. I know that much, and they do a bunch of cool stuff. The Iron Studios does this thing that I'll never be able to afford. That's like a huge Sentinel from the X-Men comics. So the Sentinel must be about this big, and then the X-Men are around it and they're attacking it, and they're like in the air and they're on the ground. You got Wolverine and Cyclops and all this stuff. And I was like, well, I'm gonna have to pre-order this. And it said, $200 deposit and $900 altogether. And I said, I'm not gonna pre-order that.
Oh, I'll just be looking at it on Google Images. Thank you.
I'll
very
look
much.
at it. Exactly. So, but Forge was a little more affordable. So, yeah, I had to do that as a tribute to the character and our old band.
Yeah, very.
Hey, Aaron,
cool.
I have a question. If people were going to come and visit Forge at his home, how might he dress?
Oh, Steve, you're going to have to pop that on there. The first appearance of Forge back in 1984, I think, a great year. He looks pretty much like Freddie Mercury, and that's great. That's awesome. He had short hair then, real short shorts.
Yeah, it was era appropriate.
Yeah, he had some running shoes, like some New Balance from the 80s, and and like a striped shirt and stuff. You got to throw that on. That's
he
an art.
was just chilling in between ass whooping and inventions, right?
Yes.
That was his barbecue day.
Yeah, and he was when Forge first came around. His whole mission was to win the heart, let's say that, of Storm, which a lot of people would want to do if they met her. And you know, it worked. He impressed her with his great intellect and his short shorts, and she said, "All right, we can hang out for a while." Yeah, that's cool.
Man, good for Forge, man. All right, all right.
Was all that subtext in the comic?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was like, I think they fell in love pretty quick, you know, because they had to move the story along, you know.
Right. Man, that's
all it took was a nice short pair of shorts.
That's it.
Yep,
and love will blossom.
Some Asics or something.
Yes, absolutely.
It wasn't Nike Terminators though, was it? It wasn't that.
It might have been. No, not the Terminators. No, they were running shoes.
Okay.
They might have been Nikes though. But yeah, they were great.
Man, oh man. Well, I'll tell you what. That is awesome. Awesome statue, and we had some great movie and album picks, and that will bring this episode of V3 Cast to a close. But before we go, we'd still like to say thank you to everybody for listening and watching and responding in the comments and sending us emails and stuff like that. If you like this kind of thing, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because we do V3 Cast pretty often. And of course, we're a band, Voyager 3, and we put our albums out to the world via all the streaming services, plus physical media, and on this YouTube channel. So until next time, watch a sweet movie from 2024.